Hello everyone, it's Jules by Jude. Today I want to show you how to make a bracelet that I have been really thinking about doing a video on. And I make these bracelets with stones, polymer clay. I stay away from glass, I stay away from plastic, regular plastic ones. I just like stones and the polymer clay and glass better, that's all. So this is the bracelet that I'm going to show you how to make. It's going to be the exact bracelet you see here. I've made enough beads to do another bracelet. I hope you like it because I do. Now this fits on just like this. Okay, just like that. And what I like about this bracelet, I mean, there's different ways that you can make bracelets, and this is the stretchy cord one. And I stayed away from making this type for a while because it seemed maybe cheaper, but I kind of like it now because it fits more securely, if that makes any sense. It doesn't have a clasp, so you don't have to fight the clasp. It doesn't hang if you have it fitting properly. I like that. Some people like it to hang. You could put charms on it just like you can any other charm bracelet. So anyhow, let me share with you how I made this. So what I want to do is start with the bead making process. These are my beads that I made, and as you can see, they're not perfect, nor will they be. It's very difficult to make a perfect round bead by hand, so you just do the best you can. There's different techniques. I'm going to move this away, and I'm going to show you one technique today. Just hoping that doesn't go anywhere. Okay, so I'll get into some of the other things that we use to make the bracelet when we get to that section of the bracelet making. So in order to make your bead, what I'd like to show you is a bead roller, and this is made by Bead. Okay? Now this comes as a kit, and you can interchange different sizes. If I had to say anything at all that may be negative, is that I'd like the beads to be smaller as well. Okay? And this is a 13. This is the smallest that they make is in this that I know of is a 13 millimeter. I'd love to have a 6 millimeter and a 4 millimeter, even an 8 millimeter would do. Okay? So that said, we're going to make a 13 millimeter bead with the bead roller. Now, excuse me, that's what it looks like, and it comes with different attachments, just so you know. Now, in your kit, you'll find that there's a little cup for measuring. Mine has been used, so I'm trying to clean it up so it looks better for you, but what the heck, it's just going to get dirty anyway. Anyhow, you take your clay, and if you're wondering about my clay is Primo, and it is a combination between 1 ounce of, to get this color, 1 ounce of turquoise and 1 ounce of white, and I run it through the machine so it comes to the desired color I'm trying to reach. So it's really not about the clay so much as it is about the bracelet and the bead right now, so but I thought I'd give you that information. So once you have your desired color in clay, you want to push that clay into your cup, your measuring cup, As you can see, it's more than what I need. So at this point, you take your blade or whatever you so choose to use at this point and just shave off the top carefully. You don't want to cut yourself. And you have your properly measured clay. So here's where we're at. You take this off, take this out. Okay, and you start with yourself as rolling, just as you would roll your bead if you were rolling it just by hand. So it's giving it a really good start. And there you have it. You turn it over, you place your clay in, and then you put your top on, and you go like this, back and forth, and then you have a perfectly round bead. I wouldn't say perfectly, but it's close. Now, what you want to do at this point is you take your bead or beads, make sure it's the way you like it. I want to roll it one more time. Place it in there. Back and forth, back and forth. Okay, yep, dropped out. What I normally do is take my bead, and this is, I call this a bead baker. This is also considered a bead making kit as well. And they come with these little spears, I call them. Okay, rods. They're metal. And what I do is try to find as much of the center as humanly possible, and I push my spear rod through the bead. Now, you have to be careful because this bead still is not baked, so it's still very malleable. So turning it like so helps it not become disformed or disfigured. And if you find you have a little spot like that, you just take your finger and you gently rub it against it. Okay. Now once you've gone through it in this direction, you might want to remove it gently. And you want to go back through it in the other direction. If you notice, this hole is much smaller than this one. And sometimes the clay comes out of that hole. And I take it and I put it and I just jiggle just a tiny bit to open that hole up. And I really want to go exactly back through that hole. Exactly the same way as I came through it the first time. Okay? Now keep in mind that at this point, you have to be very careful not to distort the bead. Okay? Now, normally I load this up with beads and then we move forward in the fashion of baking it at 275 for an hour. Beads are thick usually. Even the small ones have a thickness to them. So you want to make sure that it's baked properly and long enough. Okay? So I'm going to put this aside and I'm going to move on. When it comes out of the oven, it looks a whole lot like these beads I showed you in the beginning. So let's talk about what we're looking at. What we have here is what they call collapsible eye needles. Now hopefully you could see that there's a large eye there to thread your cord through. Okay? And you have no problem seeing that. However, if you do, use your magnifying glasses and that will help you see the holes and help you thread. Okay, so that's the type of needle we're going to use, and I have that right here, and they're very bendable. As you can see, they go back and forth, you know, and that's fine. They don't need to be straight. They can be, as long as they're not bent all the way, and even then they're still possibly usable. Okay, these are our beads as I showed you in the beginning, and they're very organic. I have nothing on them at this time. I'm working with a matte finish bead currently. I like that, so I have not been putting any resin on these beads that I've been using for bracelets, and I have no shine to them at all. Okay, so let's get started. Now, protection wise, if you still want your matte beads, what I usually use is my Renaissance polish. Okay, and I'll take these, and it does put a little shine to them, but more than anything, it gives it a little bit of protection from picking up dirt and dust and other things that you may find yourself, and other things that you may find yourself coming in contact with while wearing it. And as far as sanding is concerned, that's up to you as well. You can sand any imperfections out of these beads, perfect the whole process, but I'm about to show you how we do some of the other findings. Okay, so using your Renaissance wax, you have that there. There's not much change, as you can see. Let me show you. But it does have a protective little slight thin layer to it. Okay? So, you have your clay beads, and if you would like to put resin on them or any other kind of finish, now's your time. Let them dry, and you can still carry on the way we're about to show you. Okay? Next up would be your cord. Now, Opalon is a cord that very good cord. It really is. It's got more fibrous than it is plastic. Seems that way anyway. And it's very good. I did get this. It's by Abel-Smith. I did get some of this cord at, I believe it was Hobby Lobby. Okay, but you can order it online, and it's not terribly expensive, but it's a little bit more than some of the other kinds of cord. All right. So you can see this is a white one. All right, and we're going to show you how to condition that in a minute. These are bead caps. If you look at my bracelet, you'll see that that is the exact bead cap. Okay, and that goes over the bead. You do not need to glue it or anything like that. It just fits right over top of that, and you'll see how we put that together. Okay, this is a spacer bead, and these are roses, very tiny roses, also used in the original bracelet that you saw right here. And that just gives us a little bit of design aspect to it, so you could change these things up. I would just recommend that you take your bead of choice when purchasing or choosing. Just be careful about how that might look. And you could bring your bead with you to the store and kind of approximate. That's what I would do. I have a lot here at my home, so I kind of have a lot to choose from, and I bring my bead around to my different bead cap sections, and if I can't find it, what I want or the right look, I take it to the store and go from there. Okay? Now, another thing that I use, there's different types of glues, and let me see here. This is one that I use called Hypo-Cement from GS. Yeah, this one's been used up a lot. So a lot of people use that glue. It's a jewelry glue. And today I'm going to use Gorilla Glue. And I'll show you where we're going to use that at. Alright? Now, to get started, you want to use maybe this type of a bead tray. Okay? And we're only going to do a single threading. That means we're only going to thread these beads through a single cord. And this is a 0.7 millimeter. And you should be fine with that. But these beads are not terribly heavy, and this cord is very substantial. You shouldn't have a problem with it. Now, if you already know the size of your wrist, let's say it's a 7-inch, okay? When you're using a bead tray, because a lot of times you want to do when you're designing, see, I already know what the design will be, my desired design. And truthfully, I know how I want to make it, but I want to show you a few things here. These trays are excellent, okay? Now, in measuring, what you'll do is this starts at 0, so 0 to 1 is 1 inch, of course. 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch. Now that's on just one side. So if you're doing 7 inches, of course, you're going to have to do 3.5 on each side. So it would look more like this if I'm doing 7 inches. Because this little notch here is a half. So I would hold that there if I was doing 7 inches. And I would go to the next 3.5. And what that's giving you is a length of cord, okay? But in most instances, what you would do with stretchy cord especially is you have to cut more than what you're going to actually use. There you go. So that would be 7 inches right there. It's kind of, this cord is kind of hard to keep still. Say so. I think you get the idea. 3.5 to 3.5 is 7 inches. So let's say I don't know yet. So what I'd like to do is show you that what I do regardless. And it's not because my wrist size changes, it's because it's just something I do. So that's my wrist size, which should be approximately 7.5 inches. Okay? Now, that's true that that is the length. Okay? So I want to go further because I'm going to have to tie knots, and I need to need a lot of room to do that with. Okay? Plus I have to condition this cord. So I just took another 3 to 4 inches more than what my wrist is. And I'm going to cut that. I usually use scissors or I use pliers. Alright, so we're going to take the cord away now, and we're going to use this. This is our cord that we're going to use. It's very important to do this, is to condition it. Even if it says it doesn't need this, you need to do this. You need to stretch it out. And as you can see, the cord and the size that I'm using is very sturdy. So it's not going to break on your wrist unless you really snag it on something terribly hard. But you can see how I'm using this cord, and I'm got to stretch the entire cord, not just portions of it. It looks like portions, but I'm using my finger, and that's my measurement to make sure that I don't forget any portion of the cord, even the end, because it all plays a part. Okay, so now I've stretched it all out, and I'm going to take one of these clips. If you don't have a clip, There are many other things that you can use, but you want to put it down here as a stopper. So all my beads stop here. And also I want to put in there enough room to tie, because I'm going to have to tie at the end of this, okay? So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to thread through here, just like so. And I'm going to leave this little tail here, and I'm going to take both ends of my cord and pull up towards my eye at the top, okay? That secures it inside here, so it's not going to slip off, because that's a pretty big eye. So now this is what we have. All right. Okay. Now we're ready to start threading our design. Now, I recommend highly that you put your design in these little grooves and measure out. My wrist is 7.5 inches. Okay, so I already know, but I line up my beads, and this is what it may look like. All right, and you always want to make sure if you have enough room. See, this is what I would do if I was designing, but I already have my design. I already did this. These don't take up much space, these caps. Sometimes they do. Then you would place another bead here, another one here, another one here, because this is the way I have my bracelets stacked. See? And I'm not going to put the caps on because they make, there's no, I mean, I'm putting them on my bracelet, but I'm not going to put them on my tray, because really what I'm doing here is the distance, the measurement, making sure, because I already did the design. Now if I was doing a design and I was trying to use different findings, then I could interchange them by placing them on here and seeing how I like it, how I look at it. You can always try it on a cord too. I do that very often. Okay, but measurement wise, your bead board is the best. Has everything stretched out for you. You're going to be able to see how it looks. Perfect for necklaces. Works the same way. And as you can see, this is going to be a smaller size bracelet. It's for someone else than my wrist. So if you see that it's not going to be 7.5 inches, it's because this particular one is for someone else. The other bracelet was for me. Just see? Now, here you have, excuse me. Alright, just so you know, here you have two ends, okay? And if you were to thread this through, all right, what you would have here is two roses together. So you have to make sure that your bracelet ends with a consecutive design, okay? So you see the rose here? Well, that'll be over here. And you will have rose, bead, rose, bead, rose, bead, and it will be the sequence is perfect, okay? And I'm just letting you know that that's how that would be. If I took this bead away, it would be rose against rose, okay? For you that are not used to beading, that's how that would be. I have one more bead to go on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have the 10. I'm not sure I have enough caps. So we will go as far as we can with that. Okay? So I can start over here. And what I'm going to do is thread my needle through there and pull my needle through. See how that works? I'm going to let it drop because I can, because I have a stopper here. All right. Next up is a bead, a bead cap. And because my bead will be here and I need to have a cap on this side, it goes through this direction. You'll see what I mean by switching directions here in a second. And I definitely need my magnifying glasses. Okay, so just pull that through, and as you can see, this is what it looks like now. Let me pull this up so you can see. Okay. Now I'm going to take one of my beads and I'm going to pull this through. Now sometimes, depending on the hole of the bead, depends on how smoothly my cord goes through the hole. And if you need to ream it, you can use one of the reamers, a bead reamer or something of that kind, to make the hole bigger. So last time I put a bead cap on, it looked like this. This time I'm going to make it look like that, and it will fit perfectly around my bead, hopefully. So if you get so far and you don't like the way your bead is being capped, then you need to just change it. But this is a good way of seeing what it may look like on an actual cord. All right. Now I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to pause and then finish beading my bracelet until I need to come back and show you another way. So next up would be another spacer. Maybe I'll do two more. So you can get an idea how it's coming along. Now we need to have a cap. And again, it needs to be this side out. Now I need a bead. Yeah, that was a little snug. It still is. But I think it's very doable. You need to be careful. It's not too tight. It will rip through the cord. This time it's in. I have to go in. And with these, I got to make sure I go through the correct hole. Alright, it's just not going to work out very well, is it? Alright, there we go. Let's see. As you can see, out. The hole is pointing out in the correct hole. It would be terrible if you went through all that and did not have your cord through the correct hole, because a lot of these bead caps do have holes, lots of them. Another bead cap, this time going on the inside of the bead cap, pulling through like so. And so far I've got a pretty decent bracelet going on. So I'll be right back, ready to show you how to finish it off. So we have come to this part. Now, don't forget that we take this off now and hold on to it. So it's easier for you to see, and we can take our needle off. And you want to hold both ends and push down this time instead of pulling up, and that releases the cord. And I gently take this. Sometimes you can get this to go longer. Most of the time you can't, depending on the bead. Now, rather than I meant this end. Now, this is what we have. Remember what I said. We can't have two roses touching. Well, I mean, we can, but I don't think that would be a very good design. So we followed true and kept true to our sequence. You know, we did our pattern, and now's the time to make sure you did. Now's the time to look at it and make sure this is what you want if you don't want to waste your cord. You can't always just cut the cord and start over. It's not the end of the world. But if you want to really make this last, this cord, you want to take a really good close look at your pattern now. Make sure it's exactly the way you want it. Make sure everything looks to your liking. Okay? And a good way of checking to see if this fits or not would be this. Now remember, this is not for me. So this is an example of it not fitting properly. Just so you know. I'll do that again. It's hard to hold on to. There we go. Alright. As you can see, the beads don't go all the way around my hand. It's not going to work. Alright, I'm trying to get you to see it doesn't fit properly. So I would have to add another row or two of beads. But since this is not for me, I already know the measurement and I already know this is the way I need it to have. Okay? You can always test it though with your own arm if you're making it for yourself or someone that has the same measurement. Alright. This is what we got. See how it all comes apart like that? Alright. Now, what we want to do, it's just going to be very, very simple. We brought the ends together. And I'm just going to do a knot. Now, I'm going to do it, I'm pulling. See how I'm pulling tight? I'm not going to release that tension until I get under and do it again. Now I got a knot. Okay? A regular standard knot. That's what I call them. There's a surgeon's knot that can be done like this. You have one under and over, and then another under and over. Okay, and then pull it. You need to pull it like that. You need to have that tension. Okay? Now, what you can do now if you wanted to, now this is small, keep that in mind. It really doesn't look that bad for being small on my wrist. It's snug. It's very snug. I got my cords hanging off here, and it's snug. But see that? I don't want that. That means I made it too small, okay, for my wrist. I happen to know it's perfect for someone else, okay? So, once you've done that, and this is going to be hard for you to see, and hopefully you can. You have your two cords here, and what you want to do is stretch this out, and there's your knot, okay? You know, right in there where these two cords meet is your knot. Now you can knot it again, which I think I will, just to make it a little stronger. Pull my cords. I will not release the tension. Flip it under. Pull. Okay? So we're knotted up pretty good. And it does come apart, as you can see. Like, what I mean by apart, I mean these stretchy cords are like that. Okay? But when it goes to fit snugly on your wrist, it should look a lot like this. Doesn't take much to get on. It's not like I I have a big hand, I have a big wrist. And as you can see, there's no gaps, no strings unless I pull on it, and it goes right back, bounces right back. There's no showing of the cord. Okay? Can't see it. All right. Here's where we're at now. I want you to get a toothpick. And I want you to get a little piece of palette to put your glue on. And in this instance, I'm going to use a piece of paper because I only need a very tiny bit of glue. That's all I need. So I'm going to put this down on here. And if you need to see these techniques again, that's why it's on YouTube. You can rewind it and watch it again and again. Alright? I'm going to pull this out, or slow it down even, to where only my knot is showing. You know, right? See, this is my knot. Excuse my dirty fingernail. But here's my knot. So I'm going to take this toothpick and I'm going to put it right on there. Now, I know you're thinking, well, your hand, your finger, there. Different ways of doing it, and that's just the way. I pulled that knot into that rose hole, okay? That's what I did. I pulled the knot, I pulled it right into underneath into that hole. Okay? Now, what you want to do now is let that glue dry. All right? Once the glue has dried, most time they usually do 24 hours, okay, before you start using it. And it's true, you should. And I cut that so that it's shorter. It doesn't have to be that long. And when it has dried, I'm going to go down as far as I can and snip the ends, and I made my bracelet. It's as simple as that. I already slid my knot through my rose bead. And the reason why I did that is so that when this glue does finish drying and I snip these down to the hole where the rose bead has its hole, you will not be able to see that knot even when it stretches out. And the glue is there to hold the knot a little snugger and also to possibly keep it within that rose bead. Okay? It's not a necessity to have it in that bead, but it is cosmetically better. Okay? So now you have your bracelet. The glue is dried and the knot is hidden through the bead. And we are going to just snip these ends as close as possible. Here's one. And get back over there. This is the other. And they are hidden inside there. And if they're not cut enough, you need to go back and cut them again, making sure you don't cut that wire. Now, there you have it. There's your bead. You have to practice with your knots, and there's plenty of videos out there to do that, and hopefully I gave you enough instruction to get started. So, this is Jewels by Jude. If you like this video, press like. If you like it, share it and subscribe. Thank you and have a blessed day.